sense to where you guys are heading? You like the draw?
Yeah, I like the fact that we're in the draw. How about that? And the committee has a tough choice. I obviously with only two sites in the West and one of them being Corvallis. If we didn't go to Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and it started to look like we might not go there because there was enough California teams with fewer miles to travel and saving that kind of money and making it regionalized, that we were very likely to travel. And I had an inkling. I guess my suspicion was that we might go to Indiana. That was one of the possibilities, and one of my assistants thought we might go to Virginia. So it's all speculative, but it wasn't too far off, I guess, in the fact that we ended up in Nashville, and very, very good Vanderbilt program and coach, and we're matching up with Indiana. They're all tough, and I think mixed feelings because we have a lot of California kids. Of course, my family might have been able to drive up to the San Luis Obispo regional, but I think competitively it's kind of refreshing if you're not hosting to get out of the West and not play the same teams that are familiar with you and vice versa, and it brings a freshness to it. Not easy by any stretch. It's a really deep field. Xavier obviously kind of won their tournament. I think one of the teams that's probably the lowest seeded overall, but the tradition of Clemson and Jack Leggett and that program making its way to Omaha, and of course in recent history in the Corbin era, Vanderbilt, that's a very tough regional with those teams in it.
How do you feel about your team heading into this?
Well, like I told the team at Sunday, if you look at last year, I think UCLA did the same thing we did. They won a big midweek game, lost 2 out of 3, and then they won 10 in a row, I believe, and what it takes to win 10 if you're going to do this. And we're limping in a little bit because we didn't get it done in the last series. As I said in there, even had we swept Cal, it was apparent we weren't going to host, as it looked. And even if we were 60-0 and number 1 seed like Oregon State is, it's still, everybody cleans the slate. There's 64 teams. Everybody has an equal opportunity, and the team that gets the hottest and can sustain that over a lengthy period of time is going to be the national champion. Easier said than done, but again, I congratulate my entire staff, my team, the administration, the collaboration effort for our 3rd regional in a row, and it's always nice to be invited to the dance. Now we just have to dance.
Pitching depth is such a strength for you guys coming into the year. Obviously, he's taken a couple of hits in that regard. How do you feel like your staff sets up heading into a regional? It can be pretty taxing.
Yeah, we're going to need some guys to step up. I think on paper, our best chance is to get through it in 3. Easier said than done again. If we get into the losers bracket, for instance, we're not going to match up with the arms that Vanderbilt has and the depth of that. One of their strengths, I know that, is quality arm after quality arm out of the bullpen. But we've got some. We're going to have 11 or 12 pitchers that are all Division I pitchers. None of them are crummy, and hopefully we'll be able to throw enough strikes and play enough catch that we can turn even the balls they might hit hard because they're good hitters into outs, and that's kind of our deal. And as everybody's saying, we're going to need to heat up a little bit with the bats. The starting pitching getting off to a good start, so we're in position to win the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And we're going to have to do a little bit more earlier in the ball games than we've done recently. But it's baseball, and I suspect my guys will roll their sleeves up and get after it. And we see Pac-12 pitching all year long, so there's not a lot of arms out there that are a whole lot better than Pac-12 pitching. So
any thoughts on putting Jake back in the starting rotation?
No. In fact, this will probably be a deal where Clevenger and Jake might be used more frequently. Maybe Clev will close a game, and then Jake will close a game instead of the 8th and 9th. But I shouldn't say no. Just like Rice did to us last year, they flipped and started in the very last game of the regional, started their closer and closed with their starter. Anything can happen in a regional, short of hurting somebody. And like I said at the end of Saturday's game, the objective is to win and move on. So we'll try to position our pitching to move on, not to hang in there or not to finish second, but we'll try to make the selection and matchups and so forth, try to get out of the Vanderbilt regional, because nobody's going to talk about who came in second in that regional.
You talk about a clean slate, that good for your offense right now, coming off last week? Just say wash that away and go out there and do what you did in so many of the other games?
We'll see. That's what we're going to talk about, and a freshness and a positive imagery and a level of excitement, and that's part of my saying to them that we could be 60-0 and we still got to tee it up again. And you're probably only going to talk about that if you come into the thing with a little bit of a hiccup in what you wanted to accomplish. But it's the truth, and I think to a man we realize that UCLA didn't win the conference last year, and they found a process with which to be successful, and we feel like in our dugout, in our locker room, we went toe-to-toe with Oregon State, and they're the #1 national seed. So I think our program looks at Oregon State and go, wow, we haven't been able to crack that barrier this year or in years past, but we've been in every single game, and they're the best in the country according to the committee, and I've thought that for a while. So as I've said, we certainly hope all the Pac teams are successful. I think it's a little bit ironic that Stanford might, if they get through theirs and we get through ours, we play each other. I think that happens also in the Irvine Fullerton could play each other. They're not the #1 seeds. And usually the committee looks at stuff like that. But, first things first. We'll play. We'll be happy to play anybody in a super regional, I guess would be the best way to say that.
With Tommy with Tom, do you wait and check matchups before you decide, even if Tommy or Jeff, and
yes,
it's kind of the whole rotation going matchups?
Yeah, my assistants right now are accumulating information and who's the best matchup for this and that. And as I said, it's no secret that you'd like to win the first game in a double elimination tournament, obviously, but the second game in any double elimination tournament is the pivotal game, and so. That sometimes makes you contemplate saving a guy for that second game. But if you save a guy for the second game and it backfires on you, now you got a problem. Yeah. So we'll have to flip that coin and make that decision, and it'll be based on what gives us the best chance to advance. I can assure you that.
With the respect they gave Oregon, or like the Pac-12 by giving Oregon State the #1 seed, was it kind of surprising that Washington didn't get a seeding bid?
Yeah, again, I don't want to blow up the committee. There's some good friends of mine that are on there. Very, very difficult for them to nail it. Last night when I saw the 16 sites, I was shocked, quite frankly, and a little disillusioned that the Pac, whether it's Washington or anybody else, the Pac didn't get 2 sites. Nothing against the ACC, but 10 teams, come on, really? And they did do a good job with the national seeds, 2 in the SEC, 2 in the ACC, and then 1 from each other respective area or league. I thought they balanced that out very well. I do think that Dennis Farrell, who's from the West, did a nice job of getting quite a few teams in. I feel bad for USC because they finished fast, and second half of the season they did a great job. I thought the Pac was worthy of 6 teams getting in there. Glad that Stanford got in. I felt they got shunned last year. And I don't know, I'd have to count how many Western teams actually got in. In a weird way, it kind of works in our favor when there's only 2 teams west of the Rockies that are hosting in the West, because now we're shipped out, and you can maybe have more horses in the final race that way than if we have several sites out in the West where everybody's in the same regional, or matching up in the super regional, and then that eliminates the Western team chances of getting to Omaha. I'm going to have to make this statement, because it's the truth. I just don't know why. Last 2 winners have been Pac-12 teams, 4 out of the last 8, and it's not even close. 17 out of the Pac have won national championships, and 9 out of the SEC. So recent history, past history. I just don't know why the Pac in particular, and West Coast baseball, because Fullerton's had a couple of those in history, and Fresno and Pepperdine, and west of the Rockies just doesn't seem to quite get the respect that SEC football does. And I'm not going to argue that SEC football is the best football because they've won the most national championships. So it's a little confusing to me. And I, again, we got a lot of horses in the race. I'm very happy that the University of Oregon was deemed worthy by the same committee. I'm a little disappointed that I thought Washington deserved to have a host site, plain and simple.
You've been to Nashville a few times. Are you a fan of country music?
I like all music except for rap, and Nashville's a great town. It's great food, great people. Tim Corbin's on a committee that I serve on. He's a good friend. Jack Leggett and I go back to our assistant days at the Division I level, and I have great respect for him and the Clemson program. And I don't know the Xavier guys, so I know they'll put on a good show. It's a great facility and a great town. Anybody that's listening that has the opportunity to go back there to watch that regional, I think it would be worth your while and worth your time for sure.
Thanks, Coach.